Hello, everybody. Good to have you all here. And today, as promised, Roberto Watanabe is with us. Then he will start to talk about the Spirit's book, as we agreed last December. Not last December,
Yeah.
like late November.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Roberto, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your availability. Thank you for the friends from FESP to to give this opportunity to put all those federations together. So I want to say thank you also to Kardec Radio and for the SSI High Spiritist Federation. So it's wonderful to be here with all of you. Um, Let me see. Are you are you listening to me okay, Alberto? Do you have any problems or not? Because I got a message here. My internet connection is unstable.
Your image was still, but now it's okay.
Okay.
No, now it's
Mm.
stopped
Yeah.
again. Mm.
Yeah. I don't
But
know
I can
why.
hear you.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. I cannot.
It's frozen. Maybe because of the cold you have there in Ireland.
Yeah, it started to snow now, so perhaps it's
But I can
okay.
hear you normally.
Okay. So let me do the initial prayer and we can start. So I'd like to ask to the superior spirits, to our mentors, to be with us, enlighten ourselves, enlighten today's speaker, Roberto Tanabe, his family, and help us to spread the spiritism all over those friends who understand, who speak in English, and support us in this journey. So be it. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So first things first. Uh, Roberto Tanabe will talk about the Spirit's book, God and the general elements of the universe. Basically, you're gonna cover the first part of the first book.
Uh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let me put the presentation here, and it's ready for you, my friend.
Okay. Thank you, Stefan. Hello, everybody. Glad to be here with you all this new year. And this year we are going to study the Spiritist book. We're going to start today with the first part, which is the first causes. We know that the Spiritist book has four parts. And the next two presentations, today and next month, we are going to see the first part, which is about the first causes. And now we are going to see the first two chapters of the first part, which is God, and the second chapter is the general elements of the universe. The general elements is spirit, matter, and God. But we started by talking about God. Okay, so uh, the first question that Kardec make here to the spirits, and then in the opening of the spirit's book is what is God, and then the spirit answer. God is the supreme intelligence, the first cause of all things. Well, here we see that this definition here of God is kind of analogy with ourselves, because since our supreme, let's say, our highest faculty is intelligence, then we say that God is the supreme intelligence. We humans don't have the supreme intelligence, but God has. And he also is the first cause of all things, because we live in a world of cause and effect, as we learn in Spiritism. But there is a first cause, which is not affected of, it is not an effect of anything else, which is God, right? He is the cause of everything else, but nothing is the cause of him. Uh, Let me uh, direct to him as he, okay? And then he is the creator. The first cause of all things means that he created the universe. And also, God is infinite in divine perfection. Infinity is a concept that we have only in our mind, because we cannot grasp, right, what is infinite. Infinite is, according to the Spiritist book, is that which has no beginning and no end. The unknown, the Spirit says, right? Because we just can imagine, but we cannot grasp what is the infinite. And regarding God, He is a divine perfection, and His perfection is infinite. We also say God is the absolute perfection. There is no perfection higher than that of God. That what is the Spirit is saying here. And then, but how can we prove the existence of God? Then the Spirits give us two proofs. The first one is the axiom: there is no effect without a cause. Everything that happens in the universe is an effect or a cause. And if it is an effect, such effect has a cause. But such cause also is an effect of another, a prior cause, and so on and so forth, so on and so forth. And then, and that is what we have in our universe. So we can see through our senses, through our eyes, that the universe exists. So if the universe exists, then it must have a cause. And such cause is God, right? That's why the definition is the first cause of all things. If we would doubt about God's existence, we would deny such axiom: there is no effect without a cause, because we could say, or we could believe that nothingness could do something, and we know that nothingness cannot do anything, right? So from nothingness, nothing comes. So therefore, we must have a cause for the universe, and such cause is God. So that is the first proof, based on the axiom. The second proof that the Spiritists gave to Kardec is the sentiment of the existence of God is universal. So every human being, all the time, throughout the whole world, they have the sentiment of the existence of God. But one could argue, they say, that, well, that sentiment is the result of education, uh, meaning that, well, I believe in the existence of a God because my mother told me that, right? My father told me that, or I, I learned from the priest, or something, right? So then the Spiritists explained to Kardec, if that were the case, then members of the primitive cultures would not have such feeling, but they have, right? So it means that it is universal, is regardless of being of education. Education in this case is something that we learn, right, from on the school, for example. The analogy here is the scientific ideas. This is a result of education. We don't learn knowing about scientific idea, right? We learn from reading books or from studying in the school. And if the sentiment of existence for good was the result of education, like we learn scientific ideas, then those primitive cultures would not have the feelings of the existence of a God, and but they have. So this is the second proof. Right? Then Kardec asks, where we may see in the first cause, which is God, a supreme intelligence superior to all other intelligences. Other intelligence is mainly us, human beings. Right? So then they answer, we judge the power of an intelligence by its works. And we see, for example, the nature, the universe, the stars, the planets, and well, we human being could not have created such marvelous things, right? So it means that the cause of this universe, this nature, must be something superior to humankind intelligence. And more, more, moreover, they say, even our intelligence, we human beings, with our intelligence, we produce many marvelous things. But our intelligence also have a cause, and this such cause we're gonna see soon. Such cause is God also, right? So that's why God is the supreme intelligence, superior to all other, right? So now, next step, Kardec is going to study the attributes of the divinity or of God, and the spiritists. I say the spiritists because everybody knows that the spiritist book is a dialogue, right? Kardec uh, make the questions and the spiritists answer to him. So, and the spiritists explain to him that we don't have the aptitude to grasp God's innermost nature. We cannot know God in the innermost nature. This will be possible only when we have purified ourselves. Like, for example, we're going to see maybe for on April, we are going to see the spirit scale, how they are evolved, right? So then we are going to see the pure spirits. So when we reach this level of the pure spirits, then we will probably be more, we will have the aptitude to grasp God's nature. But from now on, we don't have, right? But we can have an idea of the divine perfection of God. And that's why we say that the attributes of God is, we say that God is eternal, is immutable, immaterial, unique, there is only one God, all powerful, there is no God, no one more powerful than God, and supremely just and good. And even these attributes does not cover all the idea of God's attributes. We have a philosopher from the 17th century called Spinoza. He was Jewish, and he used to say that God has infinite attributes, and we just know some of them, right? So here we are citing just six of them from these infinite attributes that God has. And we don't have such a complete idea because there are things that transcend our intelligence for now, right? So even the most intelligent person cannot grasp God's attributes in the whole. So, but we can grasp this sixth one, and then let's see the comments of each one of them, right? So, when we say that God is eternal, it means that God has no beginning and will have no end. So this is on the book of Genesis, right? Genesis written by Kardec on the chapter first one and 1810. There we see that eternal means that that it has no beginning and no end, uh, because God was not created. Right? We were created. The universe was created with all the things that we have in the universe, but God has was not created, so God has no beginning. And the universe, this universe that we live, in some day it may take billions of years, but in some days it will have an end. Right? The sun, for example, um, it is estimated that our sun will last by more 5 billion years. So it's a lot of time, but it's a there is an end, right? So everything that is in the universe, materially speaking, have an end, but God has no end, right? It's like we as a spirit, right? We say that we as a spirit we are immortal. Immortal means something that has a beginning because we have a beginning. We were created by God, right? But we will have no end. Right? There is no end for us as spirits. As human beings, we have an end, when we die, but the spirit never dies. So that's why we say we are immortal. And then we can see the difference of these two concepts, right? God is eternal. We are immortal. The difference is that we have a beginning. God doesn't have such a beginning, right? And if supposing that God had a beginning, then God would be have been created by a previous being. That previous being would be God. So it doesn't make sense, right? So that's why God is eternal. We also say that God is immutable. So God does not change, right? If the Spirit says to Kardec that if God were subject to change, then the laws, the physical laws, for example, the moral laws that govern the universe, would have no stability. So we can also imagine, we can think in another way. God is the absolute perfection, as we already said, right? So if he is the absolute perfection, he must be immutable, because if we would imagine him to change, it means, for example, that he would change to a superior perfection. But that is impossible because he is already the absolute perfection. So that's the meaning of immutable, right? And also he is immaterial because everything that we call matter is changing, right? It's changing all the time. And that doesn't happen with God. So that's why we say God is immaterial. If God was not material, God would not be immutable, they say, right? So there is a relationship here between these two attributes, immutable and material. We also say that God is unique, so there is only one God in the universe, right? And if we say that there were several gods, then there would be no unity of design or power in the organization of the universe. The universe would be a chaos because many gods would be directing the universe, some part of the universe, other the other part of the universe, and there would be no unity, right? So, no order. So universal order. So that's why God is one. Huh? And this God oneness is the consequence of his absolute infiniteness of the perfection. Like we said, right? The infinite perfection, absolute perfection is all the same, right? So there must be just one being, right? That have such absolute or infinite perfection, which is God. We also say that he is all powerful because he if God were not all powerful, then there would be some other gods that would be as powerful as God, or more powerful than him, and then it would mean that God would not have created the universe of all things, right? So that's why there is no being more powerful than God. The last attribute here is when we say that God is supremely just and good. So the providential wisdom, the Spirit says, in the divine laws is revealed in the smallest things as well as in the largest. We see that everything in nature has an order, right? So happens according to laws, right? So when we say divine laws, we can think about the physical laws um, that reigns upon matter, and the moral laws that reign upon us, intelligent beings, right? So this providential wisdom make us impossible for us, the Spirit says, to doubt about God's justice and or goodness. So he is supremely just and good, and this justice and goodness is reflected in all the providential wisdom, covering all nature. Right. So this is some reflection here about the attributes of God. Then the next topic, Kardec is going to talk about pantheism. Pantheism, pan significa, is a Greek word, right? Pan means everything, and theism is means a kind of a God, right? Theo in Greek means God. So pantheism means that everything is God. For example, if we someone who believes that in pantheism, he believes that God, the whole universe is the same as God. Huh? And then Kardec, thinking about that, he asked the spirits, is God a distinct being, or is the result of all the combined forces and intelligence of the universe? So in this case, you will see that if God is the result of all the combined forces and intelligence, it means that God would be an effect and not a cause, right? So that doesn't make any sense. So um, the answer in this case, of course, is no, right? God cannot be both cause and effect at the same time, and he would never uh, be an effect, right? So he is a cause and the first cause. And the next question Kardec asks is, what should we think of the opinion holding that all the bodies in nature are components of the divinity? So this is the idea, really the idea of a pantheism that I mentioned, right? We believe in that the whole universe, we, including we, are, let's say, part of a God, right? So the whole universe is God. In the many things that exist in the universe are parts of a God. So that would be pantheism, right? And then the answer from the spirit is that since humans are unable to make themselves God, they would like to be at least a part of a God, right? So it doesn't make any sense either, right? So because such opinion would deny that God is material and immutable. Because if God was the nature is constantly changing, right? So the nature is material, is done of a matter. So we would deny these two attributes to God. So doesn't make any sense, and pantheism doesn't make any sense. Uh, and then Kardec concludes this topic saying that we do not know all that God is. Right? For example, we don't know all his attributes, which according to that philosopher Spinoza is infinite. Right? But we do know what God cannot be. Right? So God cannot be the universe, because that would be confusing the creator with the creature. Right? So God is the creator. The universe is the creature. We are all are creature of God. So confusing the creator with the creature, it would be like we taking an ingenious machine, a clock, for example, as being a part of an integral component of the inventor, right? So the mechanical who invented it. So wouldn't make any sense. So pantheism is denied in Spiritism. So next topic is the second chapter is about the general elements of the universe. And here we see uh, that the Spirit says that we cannot know the origin of things because God does not allow everything to be revealed to us because we are still we have a lot to evolve ourselves, right? So there is many things that we still don't know, and is not allowed to know so far, no? And to know more things that is possible for us, we would need faculties that we still do not have. So, for example, some thinkers. Joana de Angelis, for example, the Spirit, or even Emmanuel, they say that this superior faculty that we still don't have well developed in us is intuition. No? So, but we still don't have that. So that's why our knowledge is limited, still limited, right? So we will know more when we become more and more purified. We science can give us the opportunity to know, for example, nature, to discover the laws of nature, but even science has its limit, and only when God deems it useful to reveal something to us, then we can have such access, which is like what happens with the spiritism itself, right? Spiritism is we say that is a revelation, right, from the superior spirits. So that is allowed by God, right? And then the general elements, as I said, is matter, spirit, and God itself, right? So what is matter? Matter is defined as that which has extension. This is a definition from another philosopher from the 17th century, which is René Descartes, right? The French philosopher. Matter is defined as that which has extension, can impress our senses, and is impenetrable, right? So this is matter in the sense of the dense matter, right? So, for example, a stone, water, even the air, right? So they can impress our senses, and but there is matter in states that we are unfamiliar to us. The Spirit says such matter may be so ethereal and subtle that our sense and also our instruments cannot detect, right? So this is what we call the fluids, right? And we also learn here from the Spirit that the matter is the tie that enchains spirits. It is the instrument that spirit or ourselves uses, which means matter in our case is our body, right? We use our body and we exert our action on our body. So that is what Kardec is explaining here. And what is the spirit? Spirit is the intelligent principle of the universe. For us, seems to be nothing because I can't see an spirit, right? I know, for example, that Esteban is a spirit, but I can see him as a spirit. I can only see his body, right, which is matter. So uh, that's why it seems to us that spirit is nothing because it is impalpable. But for the spirits, it is something, right? The discarnate spirits can see more than the body. They can see also the perispirit, which is the fluidic body, right? So uh, that's why the spirit is something more than just something that would be nothing, right? And the essential attribute of the spirit is intelligence, as we have seen already. And spirit is independent of the body. It means that we are independent of our body. We, as a spirit, are independent of our body, because when we die, for example, our spirit detached from our body and go to the spiritual world, right? So we are not attached forever to our body. And but the union of our spirit, we as a spirit to our body, which is matter, is necessary to our body to act intelligently. Our brain, for example, right? So the materialist says that our brain produces thought, right? No, that's not the case, right? The spirit thinks, and the brain, the spirit act upon the brain, and then the brain, we say, act intelligently, right? But at the end of the day, it's the spirit which is thinking, which is doing something, right? And this, so such union is necessary for the manifestation of the spirit. We need our body to manifest ourselves, right? And how can we conceive the separation of the spirit and matter? Or, for example, we as a spirit from our body, we can conceive it through thought, right? So we cannot see with our sense, but we can think about this separation. And then, so matter and spirit are the general elements of the universe, the spirit says. But above matter and spirit, we have a God, right? So these three elements, God, matter, and spirit, they comprise the universal Trinity, Kardec says, right? So, but between matter, to the element from matter, the spirit says, we must add the universal fluid. So it plays an intermediary role between spirit and matter, because matter is too dense for the spirit to act upon it directly. We can think here about we ourselves, right, as human beings. So, what is the spirit in us? The soul, no? Is the soul. What is matter in us is our body. And what is this something that plays the intermediary role is our perispirit, right? So which comes from the universal fluid. So that's why, as the universal fluid plays an intermediary role between spirit and matter, our perispirit plays also an intermediary role between the soul and the body, right? So that's the way we can understand here. And from a certain point of view, the Spirit says, this fluid may be regarded as part of the material element. We can think here in the following way. We can think about matter in a restricted sense, right? The dense matter, the tangible matter, right? So the solid, the liquid, and the air, for example, right? So this is the restricted concept of matter. But we can also have a broad concept of matter, and in such a broader concept, we have this universal fluid. So that's why the Spirit says, from a certain point of view, this fluid may be regarded as material element. Uh, Actually, matter, the tangible matter that we know, comes from the transformation of the universal fluid. That's why we learn, no, in the spiritism. So we can say that we have two principles in the universe. We see here general elements. We say matter and spirit. We could say, instead of matter, we could say the material principle, and spirit, we could say the intelligent principle. These are matter in the general broad sense and spirit in the broad sense, right? So that's why that's how we can understand here the universe fluid. It's a kind of a complex, but we must be accustomed to such concept. Then the universe fluid is a fluid, just matter is matter, right? So Kardec is explaining here. And the combination of this universal fluid with matter, the tangible matter, under the direction of the spirits, produces the infinite variety of things that we have in the universe. So that's what it is being explained here, right? So it's also the universe fluid is the principle without which matter would forever remain in a state of dispersion. So here we can say that also is uh, closely connected with the universal fluid is the forces, what we know as the universal forces. For example, electromagnetism, gravity, as everything, every kind of a force like this are closely related to the universal fluid, and that such forces that make it matter stay together, right? Together. So, and what is the origin and connection between spirit and matter? We don't know. Huh? This is a comment about Kardec. We don't know if spirit and matter have a common origin, or whether intelligence would be a property or effect. In this case, intelligence would be a property or effect of matter, right? Or if intelligence, we as intelligence, for example, would be an emanation of God. So this is are unknown to us, Kardec said, right? So we have limited to our knowledge, which was explained at the beginning of this chapter, right? So we just see that matter is we see that matter is not intelligence. A stone, for example, a rock, it doesn't have any intelligence, right? And we can see an intelligent principle that is independent of matter, right? We can see, for example, um, uh, people which even suffering some pain, they do what they must do, right? So they are independent of matter. We can think about Jesus, for example, right, in the cross. And therefore, we regard them as being two principles comprising the universe. And above these two principles, we have God. So here is an interesting point that we should note here also. Universe does not include the God, right? That is very important to have in mind. You know? The universe is this that we can see with our sense, right? This is the universe, but God is not part of the universe. The universe is a creature, as was said before. Right? God is the creator, so God is beyond the universe. That is very important to have in mind. Right? Now we have aquí some comments of Kardec about the properties of matter. So ponderability is an attribute of matter, right? As I mentioned, well, a stone, a rock, or a water, or air, all these are ponderable, right? So, but not as matter considered as the universal fluid, because the universal fluid is a kind of ethereal matter, is a subtle matter that cannot be grasped with our senses and with our instruments. And this universe fluid is imponderable as to us, as the Spirit says here, right? And it is the principle of our ponderable matter, as I mentioned before, right? So the origin of the tangible matter that we have in our nature, the origin is the universal fluid. The universal fluid, through many transformation, we have the ponderable matter. And the body, the Spirit says, that we regard as simple, for example, the oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen. So they are the chemical elements, right, which we learn in school. So they are already transformation of the primitive matter. So they are not the primitive matter. That's what is being explained here. And the properties of matter come from the modifications we know today through chemistry, from the modification that the elementary molecules undergo as a result of their combine, right? As we know, for example, that if you take two atoms of oxygen and one atom of hydrogen, you have water, right? So that's or the other way around. I don't remember very well now, but that is a combination, right? Then you have lots of material that you see in the universe. And now, to finish here, we have some comments from Kardec about the universal space. So we have the universe, right? The universe is on the space, and the universe space is infinite. Kardec says, because he says that in the Genesis, right, the book of Genesis written by him, that you can, for example, in your mind, you go far in one direction, and then you set a limit for your thought, right? But you can imagine something beyond that limit, and then you set a new limit. You can set something beyond that limit. So that's the meaning of infinite, right? That has no end, right? So reason tell us, he says, that there must be, if we imagine a limit to space, there must be something beyond it, right? So on and so forth to infinite. And another thing is that when we see the universe, we say, well, here on Earth, I have the atmosphere, right? So I can see the building there on the other side of the street, but I can see that between my building, that building, there is air, right? So there is no void between us. But we could say, well, no, but between, for example, Earth and the Sun, or Earth and the Moon, then there is an absolute void. There is nothing there, right? So that's not the case, the Spirit says, right? So everything in the whole universe is occupied by matter, but it means not matter in the tangible sense, right? Because if that was the case, it would be possible to us to grasp it with our sense or instruments. It's matter in the sense of the universal fluid, and in that sense, we will learn on the book of Genesis, written by Kardec, that the whole universe is immersed on the universal fluid. So that means that there is no void in the universe, right? So with this, we finish these first two chapters of the first part of the Spirit book, and then next month we will see the third and fourth chapter of the first part, which is about the creation. So we will see how the universe was created. And we also will see an important concept, which is the vital principle, which is the principle which is give life to us, right? So what is something that make our body functioning, right? So the heart beating, the food that we eat and transforming into the basic elements of our body. So these are all governed by the vital principle, peace principle. But that's what we are going to see next month. So thank you for listening, and I remain here open for any question you may have. Your sound is
Yeah,
oh,
I was on mute. So
right.
thank you, my friend. Very good. I love the way you summarized all these chapters. Well done to you. Very good. Thank you
Complex
very much.
issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's very good. So I want to say, hey Lou, thank you for being here with us, my friend. And so as you said, the next talk is it's about the vital principle.
Creation vital principle, yes.
Yeah, yeah, which is very important to understand. Sometimes a lot of people mix it up,
Mm,
you
yeah.
know,
Mm,
the concepts here.
yeah.
Yeah. So this is good. This is good. So uh, we do have like 2 minutes. If you guys have any questions, please let us know. And meanwhile, can I do the final prayer?
Yes, sure.
Do you mind?
Yeah, no, yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you, Stephen, for this opportunity to start a new year with you, with the um, Ireland State Spiritists Federation. And let's finish our presentation today, and let's elevate our thoughts to our spiritual benefactors, thanking them for all the support uh, they gave us during this hour that uh, we we were here together, and we just we also thank Jesus for this opportunity to talk about the spiritism and its principles. The first principle of Spiritism is God, something that we saw today. And finally, we thank God, uh, God Himself, if I can say, by this for the life that He gave us and for this opportunity to through this incarnation we will learn and evolve intellectually and morally, and in order to get closer and closer to Him. So be it.
Amen. Okay, Lou, there is a comment here. There are some theories
Uh,
of multiple universes shaped as a bubbles. Can't imagine how could it be possible.
yeah, that we because when we learn from the normal science today, we have just one universe, right? So, and this universe, according to science, the beginning was through that explosion, right? And then, but that is only one universe. But this, well, I think by the end of last century, a new theories came up and talking about infinite universe, just not a multiple, but someone talks about the infinite universe, and that is a book from an author, a physicist who is Brian Greene. He 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 have a book where he talks about these theories. Very interesting, but well, it's not something that are let's say are proven right by this by science. Is uh, for now on, so far, it's just a theory, but we don't know how this is going to evolve um, later. But in our let's say in our context here of spiritism, we normally think about it, one universe, because this one universe we know very little of it, right? So imagine thinking about it, multiple universe. So we must advance a lot until dominating such complex issues.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's like that story from Chico when he asked Emmanuel to understand a little bit, and he was like zooming from his house to the universe, and then he said, "Oh,
Yeah,
stop here. I want to I want to have a coffee. No, it's too much for me." So if it's
yeah,
too much for him,
yeah,
for
yeah,
us,
yeah,
it's something, but it's always in the movement. No, it's
yeah. Well,
and we are there.
actually, yeah. Actually, by one side, we have this desire, right, to know the universe. But on the other side, is something that is very important that we see in the spiritual book. We will see in the there more on the, I think, on the fourth part. We on the other side, we must know ourselves, right? So know
Hmm.
thyself is something that the philosopher Socrates was saying there in the fifth century before Christ. So it's important to know the exterior, but it's as important to know our interior, right? So know ourselves and know the universe. We
Yeah,
go these two
yeah,
ways.
yeah. I read somewhere we know more about the universe, the space, the universe, than from what we have in our oceans.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And there is some thinkers from the past that say that we are a kind of a universe in miniature, right? So
hmm,
we we,
hmm,
we, we, we we are an universe, each one of us. So knowing us would be to know the universe, and vice versa. No, then
yeah,
that's
yeah,
a lot more complex, but. It's better
Well,
to study the two separately for now.
yeah, yeah. Okay, my friends, thank you very much for your time. Our
Thank
time is
you.
up. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone who joined us. Thank you, Lou, for your question. And I'll see you next Thursday. Don't forget today, in 23 minutes at 8:30 Irish time or 4:30, 5:30 Brazil time, we will have our virtual healing. So everyone is more than welcome to join. Just need to go to our YouTube channel, Spiritism Ireland, and 15 minutes, and this will make everyone happy and show we are doing a great thing for everybody, you know. So thank you for the efforts for the healing team to put this together as well. So
Okay,
thank you very much.
Esteban,
Okay,
next meeting will be on the 14th of February.
14th of February. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll put it here. 14 at the second. Okay, I will.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. Bye bye, my friends.
Bye bye.